Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. This video is going to briefly discuss passport revocation with respect to, we're going to do this from an expat sort of perspective, those that are traveling abroad. It should be noted that the Department of State can and often will fail to issue passports under certain circumstances and also fail to renew them. Now, when DOS takes it upon itself to not renew a passport for certain statutorily defined reasons, the Department of State, if you're overseas when this is happening, so say you're living here in Thailand and the U.S. Embassy refuses to renew a passport, this can put an individual in quite a quandary because that individual is abroad and they are on presumably on some form of visa, at least here in Thailand, and an inability to get a passport renewed can create a great many problems. To be clear, we're not talking about one can't travel. We're talking about the notion that one's passport will not be renewed and the U.S. Embassy is only willing to issue what's called a travel letter, where that individual will be allowed to return to the United States in order to deal with various matters that pertain to passport revocation. Well, what are the reasons for passport revocation? Well, most notably, if an individual has a criminal record, or I shouldn't say a criminal record, but a criminal warrant pending in the United States, a fugitive warrant pending in the United States, it's possible an Interpol red notice could maybe trigger something of this nature. What we're talking about, though, generally is basically criminal matters arising in the United States, or conceivably they could be criminal matters arising in another jurisdiction that the United States authorities have been notified of. But basically we're going to leave it with criminal matters, and for matters pertaining to criminal law, please check out some of our other videos on this channel which discuss that more directly. Moving on, what are the other reasons for passport revocation? Well, most notably, the next one is taxes. Since January 1 of 2016, it is now possible for the Department of State to refuse to renew a passport based on certain types of tax delinquency with the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. That is discussed on another video specifically on this channel, and the tax issues pertaining to that are discussed at length in that video. And then finally, another one which is often sort of overlooked or not thought of by folks abroad is failure to pay child support. One of the things that can cause a passport to fail to be revoked is if an individual is abroad or in the United States and fail to be issued in that case. An individual is abroad and basically owes more than, the last time I checked, it was $5,000 in unpaid child support. And if that is the case, it is a possibility that a U.S. passport can be revoked. In the instances where I've seen that occur, generally, if the delinquent child support is remedied, basically if it's paid, then the issue is essentially quashed, and eventually the individual in question is going to go ahead and have their passport renewed. This is going to depend case by case. It's very, very difficult to say in any given case exactly how a refusal to renew is going to play out, especially in a criminal context. This is even true in a child support context, as each of the 50 U.S. jurisdictions as well as the federal territories are going to have very different ways in which they deal with matters pertaining to child support and family law. So my best advice for anyone watching this video who's had their passport revoked for matters pertaining to, say, child support, criminal, or tax matters is to contact a legal professional who can assist with that and deal with the U.S. Embassy and possibly deal with a home state jurisdiction in order to get the matter resolved, or deal with the tax authorities if it pertains to that. But basically, it's essentially going to be a situation where you're going to be looking at not being able to get your passport renewed. And to be clear, this does not mean you cannot get home to the United States. It does not mean you cannot travel. It simply means one's travel is rather restricted, because the only thing that the embassy, presumably, in cases like that, are going to be willing to issue is what's called a travel letter, which essentially directs airlines to the fact that this person, the person in question, is a U.S. citizen, is allowed to return to the United States, but that citizen is not allowed to have a passport renewed, which would presumably allow them to travel to other countries. Again, this can put someone in a tremendously difficult set of circumstances, and for this reason, it is strongly recommended that under such circumstances, legal counsel be sought rather quickly in order to mitigate any possible future issues, as well as remedy the underlying reasons for the passport revocation.